the next section slash verse, whatever, I catch 1 in 10 words. Shake, off society, run, 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 waste of time. And this kind of sums up my efforts. Um, Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Audiophiles. My name's John. His name is Andy. I hear the roar of a big machine, two worlds and in between. Love lost, fire at will, dum-dum bullets, shoot to kill. I hear dive bombers and Empire Down. Empire Down. More on that later. But first, we have a track selected by Brother Andy. What have you got for us today?
Oh, we are going to be revisiting a band that we've listened to once on this channel and be revisiting an album that appeared once on this channel, all by the same name. Clap your hands, say yeah. So we
Yeah.
exactly, there you go. You're great with commands. So this is we did the skin of my yellow country teeth previously on this channel, and I think you enjoyed that, if I'm not
Yep.
mistaken. Is that right? Yeah, yeah, yeah. So what I'd like you to check out now off this, in my estimation, not my estimate, in my opinion, one of the best albums of the 2000s. And it is another track off of it called "In This Home on Ice." So, interesting title. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this track. So please indulge me and go off and give this thing a go and let us all know what you've made of it.
Will do. Yeah, nice start. I was just letting it go for a bit. So this is very much sort of like the strumming guitars. It's an overall sort of groove to it, which I really, really like actually. I've listened to it. I can vaguely remember these guys sort of early mid noughties. They started kicking off, and you can tell there's a bit of that sort of post stroke sound to it, and particularly in the way chord progressions go and the bass interacts with it, kind of leading the way. That sounds quite stroke-ish. That makes sense, but really nice. But then when they're getting into their groove as well, it did remind me a little bit of Yola Tango as well. Some of their stuff, which again is no bad thing at all. Your man comes in singing. I remember before he was kind of like this skittish, almost David Byrne like creature. um, this is a bit more nasally, whiny, for want of a better word, but not particularly in a bad way. It's kind of like a mix between Gordon Garneau and the way Tom York trying to sing some stuff. Of course, sounding like neither of them at all. But if you imagine them in a blender, there's a bit of that sort of whininess from Gordon Garneau, and then the way the sort of vocals skirt over the top of the music. Sometimes Tom York does that really well sometimes. And so it's okay that I can't really catch more than one word in 10 because the way he delivers it, because the overall sound is really nice. I heard something about dance all night. There was an organ that came in as well that was really nice, just bolstering things. Sounded keyboardy part that sounded very organish. So overall, the impression is great. Sounds really good. Let's see how it goes. I really, really enjoyed that. And it's one of those ones where I couldn't pick out an individual element as to why I liked it. It's the complete blend. Um, and it just hit a strumming groove, which I really like. I guess it's like almost like an indie bastard descendant of some of the more palatable strumming that Go Underground do. I really get into some of their jams, and and be very simplistic, but they just hit a spot that I really enjoy. So yeah, it's interesting because his vocals, I would imagine some people wouldn't have time for it at all. But yeah, it's not a problem with me. I have more issue with the sort of Isaac Brock wannabes. They're the ones I dislike the most. Although I like his voice. But yeah, this is fine with me. I mean, I don't get a Scooby what he's saying, but I get the impression I could hear a lot of first person singular references there. So I get this impression of this um, introspection, sorry, or self reflection. Um, and the title's really interesting as well. In this home on ice. Um, you get the idea of coldness on ice, or putting something on ice is just putting it on pause, or the fragility of building something on ice where it could crack and through you go any second. Yeah, really interesting. We need to find out some more about this. I'm sure Andy can tell all. So let's go back and check it out with Andy.
All right, you're back, John. So, what did you make of Yeah?
So the track begins with this very noughties sounding indie guitar. Um, there's something about the chord progression and how it sits with the bass line that sounds very post Strokes. There's something, I know it's hard to describe, but it's just there. Um, I really like the groove from the strumming guitars. That sort of locked in groove to me is kind of like a bastard indie descendant from one of Velvet Underground's jams.
Mm.
It's along the same lines. And it also made me think that I should have given you more Yola Tango by now. Um, definitely. So your man joins with the vocals. I remember from before his voice was reminiscent of a slightly medicated David Byrne. But here it sounds a bit different to me. You've got this, and I don't mean this in a critical sense, but just a descriptive way, whiny nasal effect,
Yep.
which is peak Gordon Garno, but it's also kind of blended by the way it floats over the music. It has that touch of almost Tom York. Of course, it doesn't sound anything like either of those two, but if you put them in a blender, you get something similar, I think.
Yeah, I think
Um,
you're right, and you're right. You're right in your assessment. You're right that it does like you they don't sound like it, and yet you can hear that in there. And you're right. I didn't even think about the Tom York thing, but when Tom York goes into that like bordering falsetto,
yeah.
it's there. It's there.
Um, it actually helps with the paucity of discernible words because the vocal track, I picture it, and I do sometimes do this with Radiohead as well. The vocal track is like a slash of ribbon just floating and flowing almost in the breeze over the top of the music. The music moves ever forward, but there's like a haziness to the sonic landscape, like the smudge you get from a half-remembered dream. Um, and the fragility of his voice and the title suggests some sort of emotional anxiety. Um, in this home on ice is a really interesting phrase. So in this home, which is a weird way of putting it anyway, in this home, could refer to a relationship or a situation between the protagonist and subject. What they have together could be a home on ice. The on ice thing is interesting as well because it can mean to be put on hold, but that doesn't really make sense with in this home put on hold, or maybe it does. But the on ice could also be an emotional coldness or the perilous nature of building something on a notoriously precarious foundation, like a lot of relationships. The song also feels quite introspective. I do hear a number of first person singular references. Um, Speaking of which, I catch something like, I think this is like a dance all night, but it's not very Eliza Doolittle. And I think there's an extra keyboard part, a kind of organ sound as well, which comes in here that bolsters the sound, which it does do very well. Um, but this song isn't, for me anyway, about the individual elements. It's the blend of everything, including vague, whiny vocals that works so well. The drums do a good job, and the bass is almost like the water carrier, Didier Deschamps, um, almost laying down like the paving stones for the song to weave its merry way forward. Um, and it gets on with the hard work while the guitars can just strum away to their heart's content, almost blissfully ignoring everything else, all the hard work everyone else is doing. The next section slash verse, whatever, I catch 1 in 10 words. Shake off society, run, 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 waste of time. And this kind of sums up my efforts. Um, so we get another bit of strum time, which relents at the start of the next verse. And by omission, it brings the drums forward. So we're a bit more rhythmic here. We get a bit of isolation as well, as our man declares, I don't care if you don't like it. it's easier to hear at that bit there. And then back come the strumming guitars after a beat or two, and then the organ comes in as well. I mean, this part I can easily listen to just this part for 5 or 6 minutes,
Mm.
and it is the most Yellow Tango sounding part, and I'm very pleased with that. It's the kind of middle ground. So some of the Yellow Tango stuff they do is very twee, but it's not that. Some of the stuff they do almost sonically falls apart and is really, abrasive, and it's not that. It's this middle ground which they sometimes skirt. It's very interesting. With the word confusion, we get another drum forward section, and with that building beat, it increases the hi hat kicks in as well, and it's really nice little touch there. And then we get back to the strumming as the singer repeats some vowel sounds. I think it's really quite strange this bit. Almost like he's a Canadian goose or something. Without knowing the words, it does sound strange, and it's not very Tom York at that moment, I have to say. I guess that bit is the emotional zenith of the song, because then when it kicks back in. But for me, the whole track is quite smooth and quite a shallow sort of sine wave, which is again not a criticism. It's just I really enjoy the whole thing. The band continues to jam out for the rest of the song. It's like just shy of a minute until some drum hits indicate a gentle gliding stop, as if you were being asked to return your ice skates. Um, I really, really like the overall sound of this. It was the whole jam, the whole groove. It reminded me of stuff, but it was enough of its own sound as well. So yeah, I was really impressed with this. I like this a lot more than, and I like the other one, but I like this a lot more.
Oh,
Really
wow.
good.
Excellent, man. I'm really, really glad you liked it. Yeah, it took a while to get back on the channel, but I think this band and album obviously deserve it. We, as mentioned previously, covered the track "The Skin of My Yellow Country Teeth." So I will endeavor to only repeat the most pertinent information while also providing new info related to this specific track. Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah is a U.S. indie rock band active since the early 2000s. The band was founded as a collaboration between singer-songwriter Alec Owensworth, Sean Greenhall, Robbie Gurton, Lee Sargent, and Tyler Sargent. Owensworth now performs as a solo artist. The band has released 6 total albums: Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah in 2005, some Louder Thunder in 2007, Hysterical in 2011, Only Run in 2014, The Tourist in 2017, and New Fragility in 2021. But for the sake of today's episode and the discussion, we are going to only focus on the band's self titled debut. The band initially gained attention through the early online music blogosphere, particularly on MP3 blogs, leading them to be regarded as a defining band of the blog rock era. Um, think about bands like this and Arctic Monkeys, where if it wasn't for this early burgeoning social, media, this probably even slightly predates that, but this same idea of like, just a niche audience disseminating and enjoying this music online so much that it then creates this, groundswell of momentum behind them and their sound. It's just really cool and organic, but in a very early 21st century kind of way. Owensworth first started writing songs during high school, and by 2003 was playing small gigs and pursuing various opportunities to get his music heard. Working in his basement studio in Philadelphia, he would test new material on acoustic guitar at a weekly 2-song slot at a drag performance at local venue L'Etage. He then worked on songs further in his basement using a drum machine, bass, guitars, keyboards, and vocals. He soon formed a band consisting of drummer Sean Greenhall, keyboardist guitarist Robbie Gurton, and the brothers Lee and Tyler Sargent. And he would frequently commute to New York for rehearsal. The chosen name derives from some graffiti spotted in the Gowanus section of Brooklyn. Huge letters on a wall: "Clap your hands, say yeah." Initially planned as an interim name for only one show, the moniker stuck and was never changed. The band started to record their material and initially planned a 4-song EP. Yet, granted extra studio time, more songs were written, and the EP expanded to become their self titled album debut. Recorded between Providence, Rhode Island and Red Hook, Brooklyn, it was made for under $5,000, produced and mixed with Adam Lassus, and was first released completely independently on June 28th, 2005, later re-released to the UK on January 23rd, 2006. Although the band still has no official record deal in the United States, they have signed a distribution deal to make the album available to a wider audience. In the UK, the band signed to independent record label Wichita Recordings. With an independent DIY and direct to fans ethos, the band hand delivered copies of their debut album to stores in New York and Philly, where they also developed a fan base including celebrities such as David Byrne and the other David Bowie, both of whom attended their shows. The success of the album started after bassist Tyler Sargent began mailing out copies of the album from his apartment. As of November 2009, admittedly quite some time ago, the album has sold more than 125,000 copies in the United States. The album cover was created from a drawing by artist Dasha Shishkin, and was designed, colored, and lettered by group member Robbie Gurton. And I gotta say, the the images, the drawings, they all reminded me of like Judge Holden from Blood Meridian, this kind of like giant baby looking character with just pale white face. Maybe one of the most villainous characters in all of American literature. Thank you, Cormac McCarthy. So early social media exposure on sites like MySpace and favorable reviews in the then up and coming online media, particularly from music website. Get ready here, John. Get one on deck. Pitchfork, who who wrote a glowing 9 out of 10 review of the album. And that helped Clap Your Hands Say Yeah build a constant following, a dedicated audience, and then commercial success. According to Billboard at the time, Clap Your Hands Say Yeah is deserving of the hype for what it is, quite possibly a nearly perfect album. U.S. tours with The National, Dr. Dog, and Architecture in Helsinki followed, alongside appearances at festivals such as Lollapalooza, Coachella, Bonnaroo, Osheaga, Roskilde, Rock and Sign, and Rock Worcester. Headline club shows and performing at the Irving Plaza on New Year's Eve in 2005. Concerts, repressings, and further critical acclaim led to the album peaking at number 26 on the Billboard 200. Subsequently, they licensed the album to Wichita Recordings for the rest of the world and continued to distribute directly in the United States. The album currently sits at 84 out of 100 over at Metacritic, and Clap Your Hands Say Yeah was listed as one of the 50 most important recordings of the decade by National Public Radio's All Songs Considered. Celebrating the album's 20th anniversary over at Stereo Gum, writer Larry Fitzmaurice offered up, "Few moments in 2000 indie were more explicitly you had to be there than Clap Your Hands Say Yeah's debut album. I mean this in a very literal sense." He would go on to add, if you were the type of internet native millennial indie rock listener in the mid 2000s prone to downloading an MP3 from a band you've never heard of and thinking, what else are they capable of? Clap Your Hands Say Yeah may have just been the nigh plus ultra of this particular sensation. My first taste was in the form of what I still believe is the album's strongest and most interesting song, In This Home on Ice. A swirling, pungent concoction of shoegazy guitar that was almost disarmingly straightforward in its confused prettiness. If it was possible to wear out a digital file at the time, I did so. The record itself was perhaps the last truly out of nowhere sensation to hit indie rock in the 2000s and quite possibly the 21st century in general. And over at The Enemy, they reviewed this track and wrote the following: "Fans of the Rakes should look away. Because while our current Brit crop provide the pop equivalent of plunging their tongues down our throats and screaming, "Do you want to?" Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, plan a more cerebral seduction. You talk like a noose and only confuse my perplexity. Now that I'm so sad and not quite right, I could dance all night, warbles Alec Owensworth. An Ezra Pond for the Xbox generation before drawing the ravaged cabbage drifts on the dark red skies, and it looks so nice. Meanwhile, the band combines the oddball jangle of Yola Tango with a chorus even Arcade Fire would take on loan. There is a power in the bass, sadness in the guitars, and the whole thing pumps like Dennis Rodman's handshake. Confusion becomes a philosophy, howls Alec cryptically near the end. We get the picture. Smart. So, these lyrics. Blue, you radiant blue. I don't know how you can stand next to me. You talk like a noose and only confuse my perplexity. Now that I'm so sad and not quite right, I could dance all night. I could dance all night. Shake your rattlesnake skin and become a part of society. Wait on down the highway to see how far I'll come. Running. All that we had salvaged from the fire was a waste of time. What a waste of time. Should I trust all the rust that's on TV? The guests with some distaste that they disagree? With quite the fashionable dispassion for the dispossessed, understressed, gimme. But I don't care if you don't like it or just don't see. Now that we fattened the cow and set out to plow unknown enemies. Wow, shouts the startled crowd. Now, did you see? What did I see? The ravaged cabbage drifts on dark red skies. And it looks so nice. Gee, it looks so nice. Shout, just let it out. Confusion becomes philosophy. Down, we're reaching the town where we don't have to stand around and look over our shoulders. Hell, I never knew was what we made it. Let's just take it slow in this home on ice. So, got a lot here on the lyrics. As the frostbitten air pierces the silence in this home of ice by Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah, it echoes with an ethereal blend of indie vibrations and introspective poesy. A song that seemingly wraps its haunting melody around the frailties of life's complexities and offers much more than meets the ear. The juxtaposition of sadness with the urge to dance all night rides a delicate wave of human contradiction in the lyrics. This antithesis becomes an insightful allegory for our tendency to oscillate between despair and distraction of euphoria, a reality that dances on the edge of in this home on ice. The song's protagonist invites us to shake our rattlesnake skin, an evocation to shed the old for renewal within the confines of society. This call to transformation is a rebellious chant against complacency, where the snake skin is not only a metaphor for change, but a challenge to the status quo. As the traveler on life's highway, the individual becomes a wanderer seeking direction, questioning the value of what is salvaged in the relentless pursuit of meaning. And the reference to trust all the rust that's on TV unhinges a door to commentary on the decay of trust in media. This mistrust blends a rich tapestry of cynicism into the song, providing a narrative on contemporary disillusionment with the force-fed agendas and perceived superficiality present in modern life. It is a bold declaration that one's guidance need to be tethered to the alluring gleam of television screens, suggesting that a more profound sense of awareness is found in the embrace of one's own perceptions and judgments. Stirring imagery of a ravaged cabbage adrift in a dark red skies paints a post-apocalyptic scene that could mirror inner turmoil or societal breakdown. The lyrics foster an almost biblical sense of doom, wherein what was once was lush and nourishing is now desolate and barren, a reflection of both personal and collective loss. Yet within the chaos, there's an odd note of appreciation, a sense that despite devastation, there's beauty in desolation. It succinctly encapsulates modern existential angst, the contention between admiring life's stark realities and the nostalgia for a more hopeful past. The call to just let it on out is an allusion to the cathartic release of bottled emotions, but it also signifies the conception of personal philosophy through expression, as Clap Your Hands Say Yeah asserts the alchemy of turning confusion into philosophy is a transcendental process, a rite of passage in the home of ice. So, yeah, there you go. A lot to unpack in these very interesting lyrics that unfold in this track.
Yeah, it's interesting. The lyrics, though, as you read them out, was very image heavy poetry, really,
Yeah.
and pretty opaque. You can make of them what you will. And someone's run a couple of things. Well, I would or wouldn't agree with. I don't know. The overall feel of it, it sounds a bit like Tyler Durden unraveling, really. Chuck Palahniuk's, kind of that sort of enthusiasm and also the sort of attack as well. So perhaps a bit more artistry in there as well. But yeah, really interesting. Um, there was one thing it reminded me of. So the art, a couple of things. The artwork with the cover as the thumbnail I was going through. The figure on the top left has lines that are very similar to Lose-Lautrec almost. It's really interesting. But the faces that float around, there's a couple on there. I'm really struggling to remember the artist. There's a couple of graphic novel artists. What is it called? Jeff Darrow or something like that. It's very similar. And there's a couple of guys that did really out there stuff and the sort of I'm thinking would it be late 80s, early 90s, 2018 when they do their own stuff as well. And they're Grant McCarthy. I guess something McCarthy his name. Similar those faces as well. It's really interesting. And he talks about their name being a bit of graffiti.
Yeah.
Um, my favorite bit of graffiti I saw, I think someone collected unusual graffiti photographs and I've got it somewhere. It's of this sort of bridge, but it's a roadway, so you're level with it. And painted along the side in massive letters, it says, "I don't hate you, Sharon." And I just think it's one of my favorite bits of
Yeah.
graffiti ever because it's so
It is one of those
specific.
little snippets that you could just fucking very Hemingway. You could
Yeah.
just run with it. You know what I mean? The mind could go so many different places.
So it just
That's
it just made it just reminded me of that, when you said about the because again, Cloud Cam say, yeah, it sounds quite niche in terms of graffiti.
yeah.
But yeah, cool.
That's so funny. I think the funniest bit of graffiti I ever saw was I think just out of New York into Connecticut. We were driving. My dad pointed this out to me because he had seen it before and loved it as a hippie. But there was this movement by the hippies where they would tag things with this or write it, or it was a way of it was just Frodo lives. Had just become this like mantra. So it was spray painted on like underneath a bridge or something like that in just outside of like New York City and Connecticut there. And I always think about that when I think of hilarious graffiti that I've spotted.
There is one that I've actually seen in real life in my hometown. So down the high street, next to Woolworths, there was like a little sort of passageway that went down, and some of the sort of the local lads that endeavoured to prove their hardness with the Olympic sports of staring and spitting. They excelled, and they would gather there and eyeball people walking past. And if you happened to be in a school uniform, you were fucking done. And one of my compadres got a step ladder and wrote about 10 foot up on this said passageway in big letters, "Q here for a brain." Um, and they would hang on underneath it, and
Yeah,
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 fucking awesome,
yeah.
fucking awesome. Anyway,
It's like the same group of kids that thought they were hard by lingering around a no loitering sign, but it has the
Yeah.
opposite effect. It doesn't make them look hard, it makes them look like fucking idiots. That's great. Oh man. Well, all that said, thank you so much, John, for giving this thing a spin and revisiting this
Yeah,
band.
really, really enjoyed it. Really
Yeah,
enjoyed
yeah,
it.
I thought you would. I thought you would. This had all the trappings of a track that John would really enjoy. So glad it hit so well with you guys out there in the listening audience. Please let us know your thoughts on Clap Your Hands, Say Yeah. Um, this album, their debut, which was obviously a pretty monumental debut album. If there's other stuff by them that we should check out on the channel, we'll probably go over to John, as I'm a bit more familiar with him than he is. But please feel free to shout them out, or any other band or song down in the comments field below. Also, please like, share, and or subscribe if you haven't done any or all of those things. And hopefully, John and I will catch all y'all in growing numbers on the next installment of the Audiophiles. We'll see you later, guys.